Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iori Folani. This morning, let's look at the proposal that was that has been forwarded, sent by the former Vice President, a former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He also was the presidential candidate of the PDP in the last election. And, well, I suppose the main kernel of that is a sort of proposal of variation of the length of tenure of a president. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is suggesting, for a number of reasons, the idea of a single 6-year term rotated around the regions between the north and the south. So we'll look at that, and our guest is Dr. Jide Johnson, Chief Lecturer, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, and a commentator on public affairs. A fine morning to you, Dr. Johnson. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning and good day to our viewers all over the world. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you once again.
Indeed. Well, first of all, it's not as if this idea has not been, shall we say, in the talk shop of the nation for quite a while. This whole idea of, instead of 2 terms, which is what the Constitution...
Political zone. So it was an abstraction of the 1995 Constituent Assembly report, which was also formed the basis of the 1999 Constitution, because it was that report that Justice Nikitobi and 13 others reviewed to give us the 1999 Constitution as amended. So it's nothing new. And then if you follow the traction of constitutional amendment moved by the National Assembly in recent time, particularly the 10th Assembly, there's this idea that has been mooted for a single term of 6 years, of 6 years for the presidency. And I think that the other one that was brought in by Atiku, don't forget, he was also part of the 1995 Constituent Assembly, is the idea of this rotational presidency, which people have mooted over time. Probably it will reduce the tension in our election, and then it will give every zone a sense of belonging. And that's always been the argument of the proponents. But however, where are you going to start from? Which region is going to have the first shot? And who is going to determine the order of the rotation? Are we going to use a ballot system, or we are going to toss a coin? So these are the issues that needed to be attended, to be addressed concerning that particular issue for those that are proponents of this single year 6 tenure of rotational presidency. And then, if you are talking about that rotational presidency, what system of government do we want to practice? Do we still want to retain federal system of government, or we still want to practice the presidential system of government, or we want to practice the fused presidential system of government that you have in France, whereby you have more or less like a fusion of presidential and cabinet, parliamentary system of government. So there are so many details that need there to be worked out and iron out, other than beyond the, okay, let's have a 6-year rotational presidency.
Yeah.
And what is the likelihood that if we start the rotational presidency and somebody use 6 months, and use these first 4 years, after 4 years, they do a constitutional amendment and say that they are jettisoning rotational presidency. So I think that we must have a referendum. For us to really know the system of government we want to have, and the type of government we want to have, there must be a referendum in which the views of Nigerians are collated. We have INEC, we have all other agencies of government through which, and technology has made life easier, which you can collate. What type of government do we have? So it is that structure. It is the structure of government that we want to have that will determine the tenure of the offices or the type of offices we want to create. It might look novel in the eyes of people that, well, if we do rotational presidency, regions like Northeast or North Central that have never been democratically elected president, we have an opportunity of having democratically elected president. But there are more dangers, there are more landmines on the road through this rotational presidency, in my opinion.
Indeed. As you said, there's so many aspects of this that will have to be ironed out, or perhaps it's hammered out, quite frankly, because there is likely to be a vigorous, and I particularly identify with the opinion you put forward that we probably will need a a referendum to determine aspects of this thing. What is it going to be presidential? Is it going to be parliamentary? Is it even possible to have an admixture of both? But I suppose let the idea be accepted, might be the way it's going on in Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's mind. Let the idea even be accepted. Then one of the other aspects in Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's proposal is that this submission of his sought to also raise the educational qualification of public office holders.
Well, according to an Italian philosopher who came up with the idea of democracy, talking about principle of democracy in terms of rational choices, Bopiu, said it is assumed that in democracy, the citizen will elect the most intelligent, the most knowledgeable, and the most competent person amongst them to be their leader. But the reverse is the case in democracy. I even joked this with the student. All you need to do is to just go to various campuses and look at those that they elect as their student union president or departmental president. Are they usually the best student? That's even talking about tertiary institution. So the fact that someone has education does not have education does not mean that that person would be a good leader. The foundation of democracy, first and foremost, is the party system. Now, the party system are founded on ideology. Now, if you have a strong party system that are founded on strong ideology, then the president is just there as the arrowhead, or the governor is just at the arrowhead to navigate the policies and the programs of that party along the ideology guiding that party's public policy. So if we lay too much emphasis on education, we have elected someone that had a PhD as president. We have elected people that have graduated as president. We have elected someone that has a school cert or a NEPA bill as president. And so for me, when you begin to talk about qualification, someone might not go to college and be extremely Bill Gates did not finish college. So I think that educational qualification, raising the educational qualification, for me is not significant as far as I'm concerned as a significant issue that should be taken into consideration. What we should be much more interested in is the structure of the party system we have. The party system that we have, are they democratic? Are they based on ideology? Because the foundation of democratic society is the party system. It is the parties that nominate candidates. So, but a situation whereby you have a faulty party system, and the party system, like the foundation, if the foundation is weak, then you have a weak political system. And that's why we have political system across Nigeria. Look, what is the strength of the parties in Nigeria? What is the ideology of the major political parties in Nigeria? In terms of, because that ideology that gives us an inclination and indication concerning their policy trust when they win. But what we have seen is the personalization of governance. At any point in time, whoever becomes the president shapes the direction of the party, shapes the policy of the party, shapes the ideology of the party. And that's the challenge. And that's the challenge you have, not the educational qualification of whoever is the president or not the president.
Just yet another aspect that Atiku Abubakar, wanted to address, and because he also spoke about affecting taking into cognizance the internal party democracies. As you know, our parties, they view this subject through so many different prisms. The fact that it is going like this in Party A doesn't mean it's going to go like that in Party B. So I don't know how he proposes, how the proposal, but then again, it hasn't been examined and discussed yet, how he proposes to achieve, that his submission will achieve that, which is, he talks about achieving an internal party democracy. I suppose what is democracy to one party might not be the same in another party. So how do you view that? Because you've touched on quite a large chunk of it in your previous answer.
Yeah, what he's talking about, if you look at the party system we operate, those parties, and I have said it over time, parties that don't have respect for the constitution of their party will not have respect for the constitution of Nigeria. It's as simple as ABC. So those parties are there to the basic principles and provisions of their political party with respect to the conduct of their affairs of their political party. I give you there. You have all the three parties are bedeviled with crisis. Either it is open or not open. The three major parties that presented candidates for presidential election in 2000, APC. Now, the national chairman of APC was, the present chairman of APC was not elected by the Congress. He was, when the national chairman and the secretary were resigned, let me use that word, resigned, because we didn't know what the undercurrent. They resigned and they were subsequently replaced. They were subsequently replaced, not through a mini convention or what have you. Now, that of the PDP, the national chairman too resigned, and then the deputy national chairman was upgraded to acting national chairman. Since then, they've not been able to do anything concerning that. And then you look at the Labour Party, the crisis that has belabored the Labour Party with respect to leadership. Who is the leader of the party? Then the tenure of the initial chairman expired, and then you have different groups. So if you look at our party system, there's no democratic values, democratic principle within our party system. That is the truth. Now, the fact that you embrace rotational presidency does not guarantee you that. For example, you say the presidency is zoned to the southwest. How many states are in the south? There are 6 states. And let's say there are 6 contestants. How are you going to? In fact, it's even going to heighten the tension. When you zone into the north, northwest, for example, there are 7 states in the northwest.
Good morning, Uncle, and good morning to Dr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you.
Uncle, I must commend Atiku Abubakar for his statements. This is the first criticism I have seen him offer to politics in our country. As an opposition leader, we expect criticism, not abuse and raining of insults on those that are in power. What he is saying is, to me, calls for critical examination. But I have to worry about the issue of 6-year term. The 6-year term, the populace might be at the receiving end negatively, because it will give whoever is the president to become so dictatorial and disregard for the electorate, because he knows that we don't have a chance to determine whether he will come back or not. So if he happens to be a bad president, quote and unquote, we will have to take him like that for that 6 years straight. Because, you know, in this part of the world, politicians do not regard the electorate. They say, after all, I've given you money before you voted for me, so you don't have to tell me what to do. So for 6 years, the electorate could be at the receiving end negatively. That will not work for us. It's still better in the way it is now, that they have it in mind that after 4 years, I will go back to them. And there is a possibility that they will ask me, what did I do with the first one? So that will give us benefits as a populace. For the rotational presidency, it's already in practice, even as it is not in the Constitution. After President Tinubu now, you cannot, it's not practicable for another southerner to come and say, elect me as president. The northerners will not vote for the person. It has happened already during the time of Buhari. Atiku tried it. Some other northerners wanted to do it, but it didn't work. That has already taken on a living form. Whether we write it in the Constitution or not, it's going to be like that. So the worries of Dr. Johnson as to how it is going to be implemented is already addressed. That's the way I see it.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Well, Dr. Johnson, countries, because these things are always a balance. Okay, I understand that we still have the challenge, Dr. Johnson, from when he froze. The lines haven't been loosened again. But here we are, because these things are a balance, aren't they? 4 years now, just as Mr. George explained, where there is, you know, from a potential 8-year term, there is a midpoint of 4 years when the electorate can, you know, reconfirm or change their minds, you know, when that opportunity presents itself, as opposed to the idea that has been put up by, you know, that last caller. Did I hear Jide from Kafanchan? Chidi from Kafanchan. Good morning, Chidi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please.
Very good morning to Dr. Jide Johnson.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm interested in the topic that is being discussed.
Okay. Go ahead. Don't listen to the echo.
Just like Mr. George said earlier, the very first person that has made this proposal remains Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan when he was the president. So in this respect, the proposal in itself is not entirely a wrong one. But I do not think that the problem Nigerian democracy is suffering is as a result of tenure. It is based on the ideologies of our political parties and some other stakeholders that will have to make our democracy strengthened. We need to strengthen the structure of our political parties and then orientate the citizenry so that if at the first instance, if the president elected refused to perform credibly well, the second chance he or she will have to be voted out. But a sit-tight syndrome where the president must say that constitutionally he must stay for 2 tenures is making the politics of this country a do-or-die affair. We need to strengthen some of the organs of our democratic adherence. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Indeed, thank you very much. But that last point that you made there, I mean, as I said, a potential 8-year term is divided into 2 4-year terms. Of course, how we have that is that you will not be able to go for a 3rd term, which would make it a 12-year term. So it's going to be, it currently is a potential 8 years. But as has been pointed, will be to raise the educational standard of political office holders. And then also, interestingly enough, he also said it's also about ensuring internal party democracies. So that's also another interesting point. I believe that Mobolaji, did I hear? Good morning. Thank you for coming on. Bolaji. Did I get that right? Hello.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning. I can hear. Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Please, Uncle Yori. What I wanted to contribute to this discussion is that I will completely agree with the lecturer. The lecturer said, where we got it wrong is from the political party.
Okay.
The political parties in Nigeria have no single respect
Are you still with us?
For the electorate.
Okay. I hope you're not listening. Please don't be listening to your voice if that is what is happening.
Have no. Can you hear me, Uncle Yori?
Yes, I can hear you, but please just continue the flow. In case you are hearing an echo feedback, don't listen to it. Just please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. What I'm saying in essence is this. Our
our political leaders in Nigeria does not respect the political parties that produces them.
Okay.
If you look at the PDP, the APC, the Labour Party at the same time, the three political parties that produces the presidential candidate in the last election.
I believe that we might have lost Abolaji there. But as you heard, where he was going to take off from was that he had his doubts about the level of respect that members of political parties accord the very parties they belong to. Of course, this will show up most when it comes to contenders. I don't know how, I don't want to speculate on how he was going to extend it, but there are rules, and indeed, just as Abolaji said, there were contradictions of some of these processes in the last election that were seen, and they were addressed, you know, the way they could be addressed. But Mr. Ademuyiwa has come on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Uncle Yori, I quite agree with the professor or the lecturer that came online.
Okay.
But there's something we need to understand, that these people don't respect the rule of law, and they don't really have love for humanity. At one time or the other, they will come up with policies. If they are not in charge, if they are not in presidency, they will start coming up with different kind of policies, different kind of ideas. Mm-hmm. What was imparted in the days when they had the chances? I can recollect vividly, within 6 years of PDP rule, we were spending 73% of our yearly budget on only governance. Atiku was vice president for 8 years. Within that period, they crumbled our educational sectors. All of them started using the Ministry of Education to acquire license for private university and private schools. All we could see, everybody was just registering schools. The problem we have today, we failed to address it then. Look at the problem we have today. Every house now pays school fees. Why the government public schools is being scrambled? All deserted. These are people that when they are not having the opportunity to become president or to become ministers or to become whatsoever in any kind of governance, or maybe they contested election and they failed, they will start bringing up policies. They will start advising the president of the day or start writing letter. That is when they will start calling press to come and do what? Listen to them. Sir, I don't know, maybe people travel. Atiku Abubakar is not in Nigeria, and he will never remain in Nigeria. His elder brother today still remains the leader of the Republic, the House of Representatives in Cameroon. I've been to Cameroon like 3 months ago. For over 42 years, the president is still serving. He is still serving as the head of House of Representatives in Cameroon. We are just here. We're thinking that these people love this country.
I didn't know that.
The man that came to preach and said he would rather sell everything he has, every resources we have to his friends, and we should now believe such a person. No, they don't have the love of the ordinary man at heart. They only just one way or the other saying what they feel it would happen. At then, when Obasanjo was preaching for the third term bid, do you know how much we lost? They started bribing people, bribing senators. That was how all these Binomilai and the rest of them started becoming billionaires overnight. The rest of the so-called money that Baba Obasanjo said he got from Paris Club then as debt relief after what we got, they shared it among themselves because of third term bid. That's a good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Ademuyiwa. Quite some interesting disclosures there. I'm not able to verify those things, but it was quite interesting to hear you say there will be people who will be able to attest to it, or maybe might demur. I don't know. But keep the calls coming. We'll take a break now. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Do please keep the calls coming. Looking at the proposal sent in by the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, who was also the presidential candidate, out of turn, as a matter of fact, out of turn with the wish of his party, by which I mean that this whole matter of rotation, even within the party, there seemed to be a challenge in complying with it. But here is Atiku Abubakar now proposing, among other things, that we should look at internal party democracy and, party supremacy and all those kind of things. We'll take a quick break now. We'll be right back. Do please keep those calls coming in so we can sample opinions from our viewers. Stay with us, please.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News, first with breaking news.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Meet Benga Oreshegun, a fearless voice and an advocate for the truth. He's bringing fresh energy and bold insights to Journalists Hangout.
Get ready for deeper analysis and dynamic perspectives. Join me and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with other veteran journalists on Journalists Hangout. Weekdays from 5 p.m. and on Sundays 1:30 p.m.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers. Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyinbo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call permanent solutions.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe is achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Okay, welcome back. And we did have our challenges, with our guest, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Jide Johnson. But he's back online, Chief Lecturer, Nigerian Institute of Journalism. You might, as we are going along, you might not be able to call back in for some technical reason. It's unsatisfactory. But Dr. Johnson, thank you indeed. They've picked you up on a phone line now. So just to explain, in case people are wondering that, where's Dr. Johnson who we're seeing just now? They've put you on the...
I'm with you, sir.
Okay, they've put you on the public, on the viewers line, so to speak. So when you are speaking, viewers will not be able to call in. But people have called in to agree with your position that indeed they do agree. In fact, somebody even opined that it is when, they say that when they can't achieve when some people can't achieve what they want to achieve, through the ballot system, in licking their wounds, they now start coming up with all sorts of ideas. I sort of could discern, a slight jab in what was being said there. But there are people who say that the sincerity of purpose of our politicians and our political elite is the main challenge of the ideas that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is putting forward. That's the much of it that we had heard before you are back on air. Can you hear me clearly, Dr. Johnson?
Hello?
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can only hear you faintly, Uncle Yori.
Very faintly.
I can only hear you faintly. I'm hearing you. I'm speaking in front. Hello, sir.
I can hear you too. Actually, you're on the wrong line for us. But okay, I can see that they're adjusting some things, but we're going to have to address that because I'm beginning to hear myself in studio. The whole thing is just it's a different thing. But if you're just joining us, indeed, thank you and welcome. We're looking at the idea that's been put in by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar proposing a 6-year term. And there are those who have observed that that 6-year term, because we have to balance it. Right now you have an 8-year term potential, and there's a half time, so to speak, of 4 years, where we can look at it again. And Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is professing a complete 1-year term. But there are people who have called in and have said that that's somehow, it's like it's a balancing act. You have to decide and know where you want to be on this particular spectrum. So, Dr. Johnson, that's where we have it. People are raising concerns either way. There are those who are saying, implying, by the way, that why are you trying to fix a thing that isn't broken? The idea isn't exactly new, but why are we trying to fix an idea that something that hasn't been broken, in the sense that we have been managing ourselves? As soon as maybe the thing to do is that maybe you can try the lines again, because we've seen the folly of going on the lines. So please try the lines again in case we can get you from home. We'll continue to struggle to get Dr. Johnson back. There is the call line on the screen that you can see there. So do please go ahead and try. Maybe, there you go. It's worked immediately. Idowu from Ojota. Good morning to you, sir. Can you hear me? Idowu in Ojota. Well, I can hear you. Well. So that's the way it's going to be, huh? But I thought this thing was different from Desha. We understand that if it were these other signals, it's raining. Who called in from Ojota? It's raining, and Ojota is pretty much the same area that we're in. So those of you that are listening to us and watching us from... Good morning, Mr. Adegoke.
Yes, it's from the top. Good morning, sir. How are you, sir? Yes, I'm on. The question, the idea raised by the former Vice President, I'm with you. The question, the idea brought by Vice President.
I think he ran in his party, even in the face of opposition to the idea of a Northerner seeking to replace a Northerner. There are those who thought that that wasn't particularly kosher. But it was worked out in the party, and he did indeed, run for presidency in his party. It led to all sorts of, as our people say, katakata, and I don't need to go into those details, but so there are all sorts of aspects to this. David in Delta State, good morning to you, sir. Then, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in, widening the scope of the conversation, as indeed, if it is a constitutional amendment that we're in the middle of, the Deputy Senate President, he's the chairman of that particular, that particular committee that is going to be looking into a review of the Constitution. Indeed, it goes beyond how to produce a president, and you've just brought up there that other aspect that, in fact, River State, take for instance River State, where the governor is quite angry over in River State. He was in the news as a result of the police stepping in and saying that they were about to enforce the court ruling on and pronouncement on local government elections. So there's so many different aspects. It's just that probably the highest office in the land being that of the president, and you can imagine that Atiku Abubakar will have a particular interest in that, having contended once. In fact, we don't even know if he's going to contend again. But it's particularly interesting that he brought up the whole matter of internal party discipline, that he hoped to sort of, strengthen that, refine that. And this is just to sort of apologize to our viewers that even as you are trying to call in and we're having some sort of difficulties, well, I don't know if it raining a bit heavily here has anything to do with it. Let me just say, as we're at it, that when you do get in case you are getting a sort of echo where when you finish saying a sentence, the sentence begins to be replayed back to you, please try and just ignore that, just continue. I know it can be a bit hard to do when you hear yourself coming back on repeat, on an echo. But those are the guidelines that we have to work with in this sort of not necessarily the most optimum technical conditions. So our guest, we don't want to forget him because we might be able to get him back at any moment now. Dr. Jide Johnson, Chief Lecturer, Nigerian Institute of Journalism. We started the program together, and then challenges, technical challenges, maybe data, it might be telephony, whatever, because he also was joining us remotely via Zoom. So do please keep those calls coming in. The constitutional amendment where Atiku Abubakar has proposed a 6-year single term for the presidency is, that's what is sent in and would like to be considered alongside all the other things that they're considering. And the last caller has just said, we might not be amiss if we even looked at what the Constitution says about the powers of our governors. In fact, that's another conversation that's been going on for quite a bit, that our governors have become all-powerful, is the way critics put it. Not my opinion one way or the other, but just reporting what the feeling is out there. No doubt maybe the governors might see it differently. But I think we can try Teslim in Abuja. Good morning, Teslim.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
My name is Teslim, calling from Abuja.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't think the 6 years or the tenure of the governance is what is the attitude of the politicians. Their attitude matters a lot. They don't have regard for even their party constitution, not to think of the one governing the country. I think what we really need is, first of all, to clean the parties, make sure that parties actually become parties. Are you with me?
Yes, I am. I can hear you.
Okay, so that when these parties, like now in the state, they'll tell you that the governor is the head of the leader of the party. No, the party chairman in the state should be the head of the party in the state, not the governor. And also the same goes to national, where they say Mr. President is. He is not. And then they should make all of them. And what is causing all this is that when somebody dish out money, especially the governors, they pack the state money to the local government money that they are misappropriating and use it to sponsor their party. So from there, they become like the sole runner of the parties. Then they believe that they have to dictate to the parties. Now, INEC or EFCC should go after them and make sure that nobody sponsors any party, but the party members sponsor their party, where everybody contributes to make the party exist. And from there, the chairman will be able to take hold of his members and take charge of the party fully. And Elijah Obaka coming for 6 years, I think it's just time to prepare down for himself in case if he wins. If not, the 6-year tenure will become something very hectic.
Yes.
6 years in the life of a human being is not a small thing. I think the 8 years break up into 4, that's 4 years each. Yes, after 4 years, God will pick that time that we'll be able to, after 4 years, if you don't perform, we'll vote you out. That is what we need in this country. We need a party systems that are really functional. Party members own the party, not an individual running affairs of the party. And that will make things better. And then the courts should please help us to understand each party constitution, so that when cases come after them, before them, they will not just judge blindly and then say that the governor has no right to do one thing or the other because somebody that is cash flowing from his hand is telling the court what to do or what not to do. Thank you, and have a nice day. Indeed, same to you. Thank you very much. And looking at other aspects of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's proposal, in the explanatory notes that accompanied his proposal to the Deputy Senator, what that means, violent takeover of political parties, aka a coup d'etat, that idea is not popular anymore. Although one should talk at the same time, it's like we've heard it said constantly that never again, not in Nigeria. It's not going to work. Nobody can try to hijack, usurp the constitutional role that we have. We might have problems with it, but the idea seems to be that Nigeria is not in any kind of a constitutional mood to accept any such idea. Not here. But then, you never know. But generally speaking, most people will probably agree that, no, that idea is dead and gone. But Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's proposal does include that. It proposes to put an end to violent takeover of political parties, thereby strengthening the internal structure of political parties. Well, this strengthening of the internal structure of political parties, that's a big one. That's the real big one, because we would imagine that they're not exactly, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't comment on what they are, but they would appear to be decent, but points have been made that everybody seems to be interpreting the rules within his party the way he wants to. So maybe what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is trying to do is to set out generic rules that everybody would understand, so you can't come and say, that's your rule in Party C, it's not our rule in Party A. Okay, the final caller this morning, is it, yep, that's it, Shegun. Good morning, Shegun, calling in from Kwara. Go ahead, please. Shegun in Kwara, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. I can hear somebody else calling from Abuja. My contribution is very simple. And I want to support what Dr. Jide Johnson said. Let us understand the system of government that we want to run in Nigeria. When we have that in place, every other thing will follow. Is it presidential? Is it parliamentary? Is it a mixture? But what will determine this is the social contract with the people, which we must start with our constitution. This piecemeal amendment since 1999, where has it led us? We have amended these stories. All of us will buy.
Well, I hear you. Well, thank you very much, Shegun, and indeed you were our last caller. And I'd like to thank all the other callers who, are striving to reach the program. Thank you very much for your effort. It's been a bit of a challenge, but That's our program this morning. And our thanks to Dr. Jide Johnson. We started together. He's the chief lecturer at the Nigeria Institute of Journalism as we sought to look at the question of, the 6-year single term proposed for presidency by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who was the candidate of the PDP in the last election. Okay, that's our program. Do join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folari. Bye-bye for now.